Okay, I was going to do a few more shorts to finish this up, but I'll do it as a video. You know, when somebody, like it's, you know, like has a, what some later on think is a snake oil salesman, and I mean men, not women, but men. You know, someone or some people, and they have this attitude that they can give you this, you know, all these instructions that you do ABC, you know, D, E, F, and or they just go through the alphabet, and you'll get to that great result of X, Y, Z. You know, they said there are so many different things that you can do. You know, keep telling people that. You know, lots of people, and some are buying it for a while. They say, okay, I'm going to really do what they say, and if I do all that, then I'll be this, and I'll have this success. You know, success would be the end result. End result is rather redundant, but this would be the great result. You know, have whatever it was that they were going for. You know, you can think about this in many different ways, and you know, different kinds of situations. So they keep telling people that, and they, you know, and at some point, you know, people who had first, you know, started listening, they say, you know, they start trying. They say, well, that's not working, and that didn't work for me. You know, but they still have hope that, you know, eventually they will. They say, well, there's more to it than that. And they keep giving more and more instructions, and years can go by. You know, it could be weeks. And eventually, you know, more and more people are saying, well, that's not working. And maybe one or two pop up and say, hey, it worked for me. And but they listen, and they point out the ones that say that it worked for them, you know, how wonderful it was for them. But all those that it didn't work for at all, they're eventually that they might start saying, well, you're doing it wrong. This, you know, you need to do this, or you need to do that in that one part. You know, you are doing it. They're blaming the victim, pointing the finger at the victim, the victims, and they just keep going and going, and they just promising these wonderful results and really selling it. Okay, really selling it. And they believe what they are selling. Okay, now, they might believe what they're selling because, guess what? They stole it from somebody else. They heard it from somebody else. They stole it, whatever. And those people also put up the ones that worked. They didn't talk about the ones that went wrong, unless they were saying, well, they're not doing it right. This is their mistakes. They're making these kinds of mistakes, and then they need to correct those, and they need to always blaming someone else. Now, this could go on for a long time. It just depends on the person, and, you know, how well they handle that kind of, you know, those kinds of comments to them that, no, what you're saying is a bunch of BS. It's not, you know, eventually people can get that angry, you know, and say it's a bunch of BS, and you're just doing this, and you're just doing that. And then they might get into the, you know, after they blame the victim plenty of times over different ways that they're all doing it wrong, they might say, okay, well, I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to go and prove it to them. Oh, yes. And so they set up this whole thing that, well, you know, one of the things is they might not even understand from the other person's perspective, or what is the other person. You know, they will generalize it all and say that anybody who follows this will do that. No, one size doesn't fit all in certain kinds of situations. So, and we're not talking about people who are truly experts. We're talking about people who are truly just listening to other snake oil salesmen, and let's say women too, and just following, just copycatting what they say and say this is what it works. Like I said, they're setting up the ones that say, hey, look how wonderful they did. Okay, so eventually, like I said, they may say, well, we're going to prove it to you, you know, and have more than one person prove it to them that their techniques work and they get these great results. Okay, they're going to prove it. Okay, it's not scientific, not using anything that's scientific, they're just going to prove it. Okay, so they put it up out there, and, well, it comes around that they're like, nothing's working for me. Nothing's working this time. You know, I'm trying some things like that we're all trying something that these other people are doing, and it's not working. all their steps that they've been telling everybody, and they've been filling everybody, and with all this BS, and this is how you do it, the things that they stole those ideas from somebody else, those ways of doing it, it's thrown in their face. It's not working. It's not working. So what do? Well, they come up with excuses of why. They didn't have enough time, or they didn't have enough this, like other people would. Other people would have more time. We just don't have as much time because we're also doing this and that and the other, and we can't concentrate, all that, on that one thing like everybody else could. They're not going to accept that they're wrong, really. They see that it didn't work. They see that, but there's got to be other reasons, because these things are supposed to work. These things work. They're determined. They're going to believe their own lies, their own BS, or their own stolen ideas. Okay, so they put it out to the world that they're bragging that they can prove to everybody that this is, if they follow their technique, this will work. And it doesn't. They haven't yet put it out to the world that it hasn't worked. Okay, but it hasn't. And then people start demanding it, and that's when they start doing this stuff of, we didn't have time, we didn't have this, we didn't have that. Well, people put it on them. Well, we're doing things too. We have other things in our lives too. So, and there's just more and more pressure. They're getting run out of town. Snake oil salesman who's getting run out of town. And but before they're totally run out, what are they going to do next? It's so interesting that it can follow, not everybody, of course, but it can follow a similar pattern. The next thing is that, well, with all that they did and all that, they're kind of tired. They kind of exhausted themselves. They put too much pressure on themselves. And they were doing too many things. And they really got to get back to concentrating on the original thing. That doesn't involve any of the snake oil salesman stuff. What they really, originally doing. Or they just need a vacation. They're going to find some way to get the heck out of Dodge by themselves before they run out of town. Okay. And then, but they promise when they come back, they're going to be rested, or depending on where, if it's actually in person or, over the internet, they're going to come back and what? Something's going to be much better. Something is going to be, it might not even be what they're talking about. It might be something totally different. They've got such great ideas. And what, another future. Yeah. And you know what it is after that, right? If they come back, some of them get the heck out of Dodge and don't ever show back up. Okay. They've gone off to something else. If they come back, it's going to be lather, rinse, repeat. It might be something totally different, or they might just pick up where they left off. Maybe thinking plenty of the other people they've moved on, and they're not going to be, if it's online, they're not going to be around. So, they're starting all over again, all fresh new people. Lather, rinse, repeat. You see what I'm saying? But it's interesting. I actually saw this recently to see just this pattern. Yeah. Now, if it could stay at being run out of town, the snake oil salesmen run out of town, but you know how they are. They just moved to another town. Some of them, like I said, come back. Just after the dust is settled. Boy, I gotta stop using this. But as the dust is settled, they come back. Yeah. But the patterns, yeah, they tend to be the same thing. They tend to be. Now the last one, yeah, well, some of them can be a little different. Like I said, one size doesn't fit all. It just depends on how much they think that people are going to believe, when they come back, or they won't believe if they come back. Or maybe they just switch a totally different thing, like I said. Something. Anyway, enough on this for now. I'll talk to you on another video.